Okay, greetings, y'all. This is the Earth Mother of earthmotherguidance.com. This video is a request by a sister that I have not met in person yet, but I've known for years now on Facebook. But it's on the topic of women losing themselves. You're going to see me looking to the side because it's a lot to this video. So I had to make notes to kind of stay on track. So basically what I'm going to go through is, the ways that we lose ourselves, the impact of losing identity on the self, the family, the community, and how men play a part or can play a part in us finding ourselves. I know you thought I was going to say how they play a part in us losing ourselves, but it's really society as a whole, women included, that cause us to lose ourselves because they're lost, and that goes back to the mother wound issue and stuff like that. So anyway, ways that we lose ourselves. And as girls, a lot of times we're given gender specific identities, such as girls. We always ask, like, when you say, what do you want to do when you grow up? And it's changing now, but it used to be like we just assumed that every little girl was going to grow up to be a wife. Every little girl was going to grow up to be a mother, in that order. Teachers, nurses, and we even talked about being maids and things like that. You know, things that were very female specific. Like, for instance, a lot of times a cook, you know, like somebody who's a cook in the cafeteria would be a female, would be a woman, but a chef is usually thought of as being male. Why? A lot of times the chef is the one that's in charge. The cook is more like what the chef would call a sous chef, or somebody that's his assistant. So we were given things like that. Boys, on the other hand, a lot of times are taught that they can be anything. Now, that in the job market. But you know what? No, because they're split up too, as far as, you know, like, you don't hear of a lot of male nurses. But the thing is they're not held down by theirs. They're expected to go higher. So no, he can't be the nurse because he should be the doctor, and he can't be the CNA either because the CNA is supposed to be a woman. Oh, and the toys. This was a big deal for me as a little girl. I loved and love Transformers. When I was little, a lot of it was that I liked being able to take the Transformer apart, you know, like turn it into the Transformer, and then figure out how to turn it back into a truck. Because the ones that I had, they didn't come with instructions. So once you took it apart, you had to figure out all those little teeny tiny bits and pieces. The twist was like a puzzle, to be able to put it back together. And I remember going to summer camp, and I talk about Transformers all the time. I had this little Transformer toy, and I had no idea what this meant, but they were calling me Butch. They called me Butch like it was my name. Well, I knew a guy named Butch, and I always wanted boy names. Like, I always wished my name was Tony or Shelby, or it was some other name I wished I had. But so, you know, Butch just became one of them. I didn't realize that they were saying I was gay because I played with Transformers. I had no idea. And I remember one of the camp counselors coming to ask me, that doesn't bother you that they call you Butch? And I was like, nope. And I kept on playing with my Transformer toys because I didn't know it was an insult. So, because I wasn't supposed to do that. But at home, I had Barbie. I did have the Barbies and the dolls or whatever. But I also had racetracks. I had all kinds of cars. I forget what you call those little cars that used to come in a pack. I had this huge fire engine with all the bells and whistles and a working ladder. I had both kinds of toys. Interestingly, though, I never mixed them. But, you know, I either played with Barbie or I played, you know. And now that I think about it, when people came around, I didn't play with my boy toys. So, yeah, the difference between toys. And girls are also expected to bury their wild side. We were expected to sit down, be quiet, stay clean, stay neat, be pretty, be polite, be kind, don't say anything mean. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. We were expected to always be accepting and loving and yeah, just soft, obedient was a lot of what I got that I was not obedient. Boys, on the other hand, you never hear, that's just how girls are. You always hear, that's just how boys are. So they tear up everything. They slide in the mud in their dress clothes. They, do all these things, and they get to do it. They get to fully express themselves. Of course, unless they're expressing feminine tendencies, then they're not allowed to express themselves. But as long as they're expressing this wild, supposedly masculine, stuff, they can do whatever they want. Which, skipping a couple of steps ahead, that's why I so embrace the concept of wild women. Being able to finally, as a woman, do as I please, or making ways to do what I please. When I was little, I used to have this reoccurring dream that I was walking in a saloon, and like it had the little doors that you could just walk through or whatever, and I didn't have a shirt on. And I remember feeling so free that I didn't have to wear a shirt. Now, mind you, at the age I was having this dream, I didn't have any boobs either, but I've always wanted to be topless. Like, I've always wanted to just be able to walk around with no shirt on. It's always, maybe I was a boy last life, I don't know. Maybe I was in some tribe or, part of some ethnic group that didn't have to wear shirts, but I've always wanted to be topless. I'm getting closer. And this weekend I did walk around with my little bikini top on like it was a shirt, but I just have always wanted to do that. And I know a lot of women who want to do that too. But we're supposed to be covered. Even though I've seen plenty of men with titties bigger than mine that's walking around like, it's completely different. And I'm like, dude, if I need to wear a bra, I know you for sure need an underwire support bra. But anyway, so but we're asked to bury our wild side. We're asked to repress ourselves. So early on, we have parts of ourselves that people stomp out. And I put this will go along more with the next step, but in my adolescence is when my dad swore that he was going to break me. And he meant it. He really thought that was going to happen, but nah. So in adolescence, we're given negative associations with being female. So when we're little, a lot of times on the playground, you can kind of prove your equality. So I was a runner. I could outrun or at least keep up with most of the boys, in the class. And I told my husband, he thought it was so funny, but when you could make the quick turns when you run it, almost like you see the animals do, like the gazelles or something, they run it and then and they turn the corner. We called it juking. And honey, I could juke with the best of them, sugar. Okay, so but in when I was a little girl, I remember feeling powerful. I mean, because it was just that, at least on the playground, and when it came to roughhousing and stuff like that, because I could hold my own. And you could prove yourself back then. As long as you could run fast and you could hold yourself, hold your own ground in a fight or wrestling, you was good. So I was still confident. Then adolescence came. And that's when we began to hear the things like, you hit like a girl, you scream like a girl, you throw like a girl, you kick like a girl. It becomes an insult to be a girl. And even girls perpetuate this. Even girls will say to other girls, you hit like a girl, you scream like a girl. Yeah, and we start to down ourselves, and we start to see ourselves as weaker. So we start being seen as weaker, emotional, required to be compliant and nice. So another thing that a lot of people will say is women are just emotional. Women are, and there's nothing wrong with being emotional, but the problem comes in when you use being emotional as a way to dismiss, and that's what we do. We use it as a time to be dismissive of women. Like right now, my cycle is starting, and so I'm going to be more in tune to other people's feelings, more in tune to what's going on in the universe and nature with myself. Just more in tune. So that may cause me to be in motion and, with the tide of what's going on. And that's how you can think of emotions, just being in motion of going with the flow and being able to feel what's going on in the energetic, planes or realm or whatever. And so, but it's not a weakness, it's a tuning in, it's a turning in, it's having a deeper understanding. It's more, it's being able to flow with more ease of going inside and being introspective. But a lot of times, because you get quiet, or you might cry more easily, or you might feel your emotions, you might feel your feelings or somebody else's feelings more fiercely. I found that during my cycle, a lot of times I am more defensive of other people. Like I'm almost more warrior-like, I guess, in a way, because I can feel more of what they're feeling. So it's like when I know that you've hurt somebody, I spring to it a little faster. So while it's been viewed as weak, it's actually quite the opposite. And so because we're seen as being weak, or needy, we can't defend ourselves, whatever it is, verbally or physically. Because I know some warrior women who can defend themselves. You might want to keep your hands to yourself with them. And so, but we go into this thing in adolescence where we are seen as weaker. Now, one thing I thought about, and I can't remember if I ever read fairy tales when I was little, or if I had ever had them read to me, because I know I didn't grow up believing in Santa Claus. Mama never taught me about Santa Claus, but I'm very leery these days because of what I study and stuff, of these fairy tales. Because, and I saw a meme the other day, basically, and I don't know if it's true or not, but it probably is, but that this movie Frozen was the first time when a woman didn't need a man to run to her aid. I haven't seen the movie Frozen, so I don't know. But it's interesting because I always tell my children, nobody's coming to save you. You need to save yourself. You are your own soul salvation. Nobody's coming. There's not going to be a Prince Charming. I'm not even always going to save you. I might watch you flounder for a little bit because you need to learn the lesson. But we have to stop, in my opinion, this is me, I would prefer to stop seeing those books in such heavy rotation. Because even the cultural ones, as women, we have to pay attention, because yes, we're African, yes, we're African American, yes, we're whatever your background is, but we're also women. So I can't sacrifice my womanhood for, culture, because I'm still a woman. So I can't participate, or I won't, I could, but I won't participate in a culture that makes me seem weaker. I won't participate in something that makes me the damsel in distress. As much as I love the security, because me being a Cancer, I love the security of knowing that I'm taken care of. That is something that I thoroughly enjoy. I like the feeling of being able to be secure in my home. At the same time, I don't need my husband to save me. I don't need him to take care of me. I deeply appreciate it. I appreciate what he does, but a lot of times, because of those fairy tales, you have a lot of women who sit around and they wait for Prince Charming to come and sweep in on his horse, or in his really nice car, or whatever, to come and make, the woman is waiting for him to come make her life better. And it leads to us putting up with a lot of stuff that we shouldn't. So here I will pause to tell you, nobody's coming to save you. You're going to have to save yourself. You want to be a complete and whole being before he ever shows up. You want to stay a complete and whole being while he's there. Because just in case he leaves, or just in case you wake up and realize this ain't what you thought and you leave, you don't want to have to want for anything. Oh yeah, and sexually in adolescence. Oh God, honey, people want to glue women's thighs together because we're supposed to be ever virginic. I could be 50 years old and be on my first marriage, and unless it is an enlightened man, it's somewhere in his little mind, he's gonna think that I'm supposed to have waited on him my whole life. And we lose ourselves. We don't understand. And even as girls, we're expected not to, because I forgot to cover the sexuality component, because we do lose ourselves there too. We're expected not to self-explore. We're expected not to self-pleasure. Self-pleasure means masturbate, just in case you don't know. Well, Vaisha, I know you know, but just in case. But we're expected not to do those things. Boys, on the other hand, especially during adolescence, are expected to be wild. Well, my question is, who are they being wild with? So we're given these two different things. Women, suppress your sexuality. Don't embrace your sensuality. Don't fully experience the world around you. Don't stay in this lovely little, glass case for us to look at you and you just sit there and be pretty and you laugh at all the jokes and you do those things, but don't express yourself. Keep those legs closed. Keep your skirt down, and you need to wear a skirt. Keep your skirt down, and don't sit with your legs cocked open, and don't do anything. Don't do anything pretty much. And so we never get to explore those things. Boys are expected to be wild, free, behaviorally and sexually, and that also causes kind of a confusion and a discord, because we're telling them to be wild behaviorally and sexually, and then we're telling women and girls to do the opposite. Where at some point they're gonna find each other. What's gonna happen? Because somebody's having to go against what they've been taught. The other thing is, I remember being in band and I played the saxophone. I had second chair, another girl had first chair, and I remember how upset the guys in the section would be, because one, we were playing boy instruments because we played saxophone, and they played boy instruments and they could never play better than we could. I wanted to play the drums, but I could only get my nerve up to play the saxophone. And I just remember feeling even slightly rebellious playing the saxophone because it's a boy instrument. Girls are supposed to play violin, flute, clarinet, stuff, soft, nice things, And I wanted to play the kettle drum. And so, but even then, so it's in all these realms, and that's really what I want y'all to start paying attention to, is in all these realms where women are oppressed and told what you cannot do, the things that, and I'm not saying that men aren't, but y'all know my call is to women, so we'll let somebody else handle the men. But those places where we're oppressed, and when we're told don't go there. If they tell you don't go there, totally go there. Don't do it. At least do it a little bit just to try it out. Most rules, except for true universal ones, are made out of fear. They're made out of fear and misunderstanding. So totally do it, especially if they're gender specific rules. Break them. Then as women, we're expected to, first of all, as women, we're expected to marry first. before we ever have our first sexual experience. So we'll say women marry between 21 and we'll say 30. So theoretically, your husband been having sex since his stuff could get erect, and you just waiting on him, like a good girl, never exploring your body and never taking lovers and never doing any of those things. And a lot of men, that's what they want to believe. So that also leads to a lot of what I've seen is women playing coy and I don't know what I'm doing, stop, don't do that, all this kind of crap. And we're not expected to express what it is that we want. I remember my husband was put off when we first got married because I knew what I wanted, and we were still in church and everything, but my thing was in the confines of marriage, then I can get what I want. If I want to have sex, I want to have sex. I should just be able to say, hey, give me some, And he, what? He expected to be able to pursue me. And if I did want to pursue him, it was supposed to be coy. And it was supposed to be, kind of hint dropping, flash little boob or something, whatever. But I wasn't supposed to just be able to go for it. It couldn't be kind of my idea. Of course, he's gotten over that now, but because we were both raised in the church and he was raised by his grandparents. So he has very traditional, before I ruined it for him, very traditional values. So we're expected to hold off on sex until marriage. Men generally are not. Nobody asks guys if they're virgins before marriage. But anyway, so after the husband, of course, we're supposed to have children. And if you don't have a husband and children, you're not a full woman. You're just lacking. You're incomplete. And I tell people this all the time now. I'm not sure that I would have had either one had I known that I had a choice. I mean, maybe I would. What the point is that I never had a choice. I was never encouraged to explore single life. My sister did. She didn't get married. I can't remember when she got married, but it was much later in age than I did. And she just had her first child at 40. I ain't saying I wouldn't do that, but she grew up with my mom being a single mother and seeing my mom handle it and do everything. So she had a different experience. So I really think that impacted the way she saw life. Like, my sister is very independent, very strong, very take charge. Not bossy, but she just is take charge. And I don't know that she's submissive in any way, but she didn't see my mom like that. She saw my mom working for herself, paying, working by, not for herself, she worked for the library, but, handling everything herself, holding down a household herself. She did all that herself. Because like I told y'all, whether they acknowledge it or not, I come from a matriarchal family. So, anyway, so I tell my children, you are not incomplete if you don't have a forever mate or children. You're not. You don't have to have either one. You can travel the world by yourself if you want to. You don't have to have, because there are benefits to both sides. Yes, I have the security of a husband and children and all this good stuff. And then this sister who doesn't have either one, she has freedom. She doesn't have to check in or take care of anybody. But on the other hand, maybe, people like, well, she won't have anybody take care of her. Who knows? But the thing is that I think girls should be taught that they can choose their path. Some would choose the wildest path possible. Some would choose a very calm, secure, whatever path. But they should have the freedom to choose. And once we have our husbands and children, and we already had our extended family, we expected to put them first. This is where some of the major loss comes in, because we have so many women that are being strong. We have an upsurge, or maybe it's getting more exposure, but there's been an upsurge of black women killing themselves. Just checking out. They done. And a lot of it just has to do with not knowing how to take care of yourself first. Self-love, self-preservation is the foundation for everything else. I can't help you if I'm crazy. I can't help you if I'm dead. I can't help you if I'm worn out and tired. And so the thing is that we have to realize, no, my children do not come first. No, my husband does not come first. No, my family does not come first. I come first. And then they ripple out in importance from the center, which is me. Because I have found over the years, nobody's going to take care of me like I take care of me. And at some points in my life, nobody's going to take care of me at all if I don't take care of me. So that's the first and foremost. Often take identities associated with others rather than being self-identified. So, for instance, you'll hear a woman in an interview. So tell me about yourself. Well, I'm married. I've been married 3 years, and I have 3 children, ages so and so, so and so, so and so, and what? I said, tell me about you, not tell me about the people around you. We identify a lot of times. We identify according to our connections. And women, myself included, a lot of times have a hard time with that simple question. Tell me about yourself. Tell me what your purpose is. What do you like to do? What makes your heart smile? What pisses you off? Which is another thing that I should have written down. A lack of being able to express emotion. But anyway, but not being able to identify just as ourselves, just as us, just as how I came into the world, which was by myself. I did not come into the world with husband and children. And I was a complete and whole person before I ever got married, before I ever birthed another person into the world. And the people that I birthed are whole and complete individual human beings. Yes, I am somebody's wife. Yes, I am somebody's mother. Yes, I am, somebody's sister, aunt, cousin, daughter, whatever. But I'm me first. I have to get to know me as an individual. What do I like to do? A lot of the stuff that I like to do, I didn't even discover or remember until I was in my 30s. In my 30s. A lot of the things that I want to try, I haven't had the nerve to try until now. And a lot of people are like, you just getting wilder and wilder. Yeah, I am. And I'm enjoying it because I'm doing what I want. We went to the beach. We stopped by the beach first, before we went to set up our tent. I didn't have my bathing suit out, but I had a bra on. I took that shirt off and went down to the beach because I wanted to. It's like I didn't put any thought into it. That's what I want to do. And I took pictures, and so the thing is just being able to do what I want because that's what I like to do. I couldn't concern myself with how my husband was going to feel about it. Why? Because he need to do what he want to do. And I have to show my children how to self-identify, how to identify as an individual before you try to take this show on the road. And as far as expressing emotions, we have got to, as women, we have got to learn for our own mental health sake, we have got to learn to express a full range of emotion. The interesting thing is the ones that we're not supposed to express are the ones that men are expected to hyper express and the other way around. So we are not supposed to express anger, rage, which for me are different, sadness, frustration. We're not supposed to do those because they're not nice. And a lot of us then turn it in. So we just swallow it back and we, push it down. But the whole time, it's just sitting down in your gut rotten. And it makes you turn in on yourself. It makes you turn the rage and the anger and the sadness and the depression or whatever it is in on yourself. We're only supposed to laugh and be pretty and, be accepting and just, and do all this crap. No, you just pissed me off, and I'm full on pissed off. And that's part of the reason I think for me, I find so much freedom and power in cuss words. I just do. It may be a phase that I am in right now, and maybe I'll come out of it, maybe not. Maybe I'll be a cussing old lady. That's fine. Because again, it's something that I'm not supposed to do. And I don't do it all the time, but yeah, I like it. I enjoy it. The interesting thing is, it was some study, I'm not sure if it's a real study or not, but they said that people who curse tend to be more honest. But the thing is that I have had to learn to express a full range of emotion, to say no when I don't want to do it, to be mad when I am, to be sad when I am, and not try to push it down and, okay, make everybody comfortable, because those feelings might make someone else feel bad, and we don't want to do that now, do we? I need to be able to get that stuff up and out. And I found that once I'm able to get those emotions up and out, I don't have to deal with them as long, because I release them. I've seen so many women talk about doing all these rituals and doing all this metaphysical stuff to feel better. No, cry. You need to cry. No, you want to cuss them out? Cuss them out. Some people's Ori begs to be cursed out because they keep doing stupid stuff like right in your face. Sometimes the release comes with releasing the person. Get rid of people sometimes. The same time you clean your house during spring cleaning, clean them people out too, because that's another thing. We're supposed to be nurturers, and we're supposed to take on everybody and all their little raggedy problems that they really don't want to fix. No, let them people go, honey. I will let people go so quick now it ain't even funny. I mean, I give folk chances and such, but once I see that it's not working, you got to go. And you may not go completely out of my life, but you sure move further, out of the bullseye. You in that further ring. You not in the inside ring anymore. You moving out to one of these other rings. But we have to learn that I'm not here to nurture everybody. And my nurturing doesn't look like everybody else's sometimes. Well, I ain't gonna say everybody else's, but it's not in the traditional format. Everybody is not at breastfeeding level. I'm not gonna sit there and, dote on grown people. Sometimes there are people that are hurt. That's different. But sometimes it's people that they already at the point where they need to be doing the work and they just don't want to. I'm not babying you, because you're making a choice and you're not finna drive me crazy with your choice. And so I have learned to balance my nurturing. I've learned not to sacrifice myself because you don't want to do. It's not gonna happen. I'm just not doing it. So feel they need to be completed by another person. This goes back to not being a whole woman if you don't have a husband and children. Or feel, and I know some of y'all not gonna like this, but I'm gonna say it anyway as usual. I'm trying to think of a way to say it where you can at least hear me well. But all these different gods, whoever your God is, whoever your source is, whatever, because I've never seen any of them get up off their, respective thrones and come down here and make a difference. What that tells me is whatever divinity you have inside you, you have to reach and pull on that. You can't look for it out here. Again, going back to adolescence, nobody's coming to save you. I don't care who it is. Nobody is coming to save you. You need to get up and examine what it is you need to do to be okay. You need to take your power back. and you need to wield it with a loving, balanced hand. Loving meaning self-love first, other love second. Okay? But nobody's coming to save you. A lot of times I've seen these women waiting for, I grew up in the church, so we're going to do Jesus. Waiting on Jesus to come and actually do these things for them. Pay their light bill. Provide gas money. Provide this and that for the children. Sweetie, listen. Go get a job, okay? Stop waiting on Jesus to come drop you off some money. Stop waiting on the Lord to find you a man to do the same thing. You are your Savior. You are the one you're the one who's concerned about what's going on with you. I'm not taking away anybody's religion, but I'm just saying we need to take a more active role in our own lives. When I'm hungry, when my stomach is growling, guess what affects me? Nobody else around me is hungry. So if it's a hunger for my business stuff, if it's a physical hunger that I need to go get something to eat, guess whose passion it is? It's my passion. Guess who is the one that then impacts the most when my stomach is griping like that? Me. So I'm not going to sit there and wait for my husband to have the same passion about my business as I do. He doesn't. I mean, he loves women. I've seen how he treats the women around us. But it's not his passion. Women are not his passion. For him, his passion is the youth. So that's what he's passionate about. This is my hunger. I have to go after the things that mean something to me. I have to make my life what I want it to be. I have to find those resources in that tribe of women that's going to support me. I have to do that. I have to draw those people to me. How do I do that? By being who I am, fully and completely. For me, that means I like painting. It's therapy. It makes me feel better. I like yoga. It helps me to release. I like exploring various sex and sexuality just because it keeps it keeps my mind open. I like studying. That makes me feel good. Those are things about me. Those are things that I'm passionate about. Of course, there's tons of other things, but those are things that are important to me. I go after them. We have to learn to go after those things and stop waiting for people to bring them to us. Okay? So, the impact on the self of losing identity. One, like we talked about, an inability to express a full range of emotion. And the thing is, you are feeling a full range of emotion, but you're not expressing it. Another thing that can cause to happen is people don't understand you. So when you are saying, sure, I can do that, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking, crap, I can't do one more thing. I'm exhausted. I just need to go to bed. Then guess what? You can't get upset, or you shouldn't get upset when people keep pulling on you. Why? It's not their fault. You're not speaking your truth. You're not obligated to do things that are anti-self-love. You should not be asking people to love you more than you love yourself. Love yourself first. I certainly love me more than I love any of you. Any of them. And I don't feel bad about it. Me loving myself first and most allows me to love you from my overflow. And you want my overflow. You don't want the crud in the bottom of the cup. You don't want the backwash. That's what we call it down here. You don't want the backwash out the bottom of the cup. A lack of body care and self-love. So much of what we see with weight problems, acne, fibroids, I'm trying to think of, things that I kind of see around me, are because the lack of body care and self-love. Why? I found that even though I'm not like high school skinny, I am starting to really love myself, my body. Why? Because it's mine. No other reason, just because it's mine. I still don't have a flat stomach. If we Facebook friends and you look at my birthday pictures, honey, you see belly all over the place. I'm totally cool with it. As a matter of fact, I'm so cool with it that I got it tattooed. It took me finding who I am. And the other reason that is so important is because when we're not able to find ourselves, find our identity, we identify with others. Well, what others do we see? A lot of us are impacted by what we see in the media. So we're impacted by this very homogenous body type. Flat stomach, big breasts, big boobs, a certain type of leg, little feet, long hair, long straight hair most of the time, those kind of things. Well, a lot of those things, most of those things don't fit me. So what am I to do? Because I'm never going to be those things. Well, what I need to do is stop looking at them so much and look at me and talk to my body and say, ooh, you look good. And this is another video I've done on that about body love, but our identity, getting our identity back is what helps us to express body love. And then from body love, we start to care. We start to take care of ourselves. I want to look this way, so I care about myself. I take time for myself. One thing I'm still working on for myself is taking naps. I created this rule in my head around naps that I'm getting rid of now. Another thing with identity, strangely enough, is this thing that I'm learning about right now, intuitive eating. I'm really having to get to know myself, and I had a really good discussion with my sister that surprised me with the beach camping trip. A good discussion around the intuitive eating, because a lot of it, my eating issues came from childhood impacts, things that parents have said, done, not said or done, my feelings around food, all those things. So all those things have to do with my identity, because it's who I was as a child and who I am as an adult is how I connect with food, self-care. How do I feel like I should care for myself? Do I feel like that I'm not worthy of care? Am I not worthy of good food? Am I not worthy of expressing emotions, so instead I pack them down with food? Am I not worthy of security, so I eat enough where I can cushion myself in a fat body? All of those things are worth exploring. Do I not eat because I don't want to be fat? I want to be skinny so that I can be acceptable. All of those things kind of float around in the air. And we're not talking about people who have different hormonal issues. You can't do nothing about, well, you can do something about that, but that's not my area of expertise. Y'all can call Sharice Sledge Thomas, I think I finally remember her name. Call her about the hormone issues. A disconnection from spirit. So for the religious and the non-religious, read spirit as, for me, I say you can read it however you want to, but for me, it meant my inner spirit. It meant my wise woman. It meant my 120-year-old self reaching back into what is her past, my present, to tell me what I can do to make this road easier. That's spirit for me. That means connecting to what, it's almost like a spiritual sensuality. What makes me feel good? What smells good? What sounds good to my ear? What tastes good to my mouth? When I use all those things, in culmination, what's the reaction that I have physically? What's the reaction I have spiritually? Does it elevate me or does it make me feel down? But you have to reconnect. You don't have to do anything. Y'all know me with that one. But I would really suggest that even you find your own spiritual identity. Are you practicing a religion that was given to you? Are you practicing that religion because you don't know what else is out there? Have you explored a whole bunch of religions that are like established religions, only to find out that you don't fit in any of them, so you just take the one that best fits instead of creating a spiritual practice that actually works for you. Those are all things to, kind of explore. Another way it can impact this, losing identity can impact the self, is that you become spiritually dependent and lazy to practical things. This one is simple. This is for those, again, who are waiting on someone to come save them, or for people who are so spiritual but they can't make practical things work. You real deep, but you can't get your actual things together in a material realm. You praying to whoever, you spending money on rituals by whoever, you getting reading after reading when the practical solution is sitting right in your face. While yes, I do readings, I don't do readings if you don't need one. Like, my thing is, a lot of times there's a very practical solution that's sitting right in your face, but you want to make it deep and spiritual, and it just ain't. But the thing is because you don't know yourself and you don't trust yourself, and you've lost that trust for yourself way back when you were a little girl and somebody tried to make you dependent. Because of course the other thing is, we're not supposed to think critically. We're just supposed to, smile and nod. And so way back when you were a little girl, you learn not to trust your own intuition. You learn not to listen to your own spirit. And so now you're like, you're trying to get that back, and you're really just super spiritual, but you don't get, well, sweetie, if you need a job, you need to go put in an application, or you need to create one for yourself. While I'm creating this coaching business, I work. I mean, the other one is an entrepreneurial business too, but I can't be so, so spiritual. I'm going to pull this to me and manifest it, but I'm going to let my job that's actually paying the bills right now go. No, that's not practical. I'm going to let this one flow out while this one flows in. That's how nature does it. So that's how I'm going to do it. Why? Because it's universal law. It makes sense. You let one thing flow in, the other one will phase itself out. Phase in, phase out. Not just drop it and try to be deep and then wonder why you don't have any food. So what impact does it have on the family? Well, as a mother, because we're talking to women, as a mother, you can't teach your children what you don't know. The other thing is that you will try to get them to become who you weren't. You will try to get them to do the things that you didn't have the nerve to do. So those are the ones who force their children, for instance, just as an example, into cheerleading. And the child hates it. And they hate going to practice every day. They hate standing in front of people cheering. But yet and still, because you didn't have the nerve to wear the short skirt, or maybe you were a little too rotund, you thought for the cheerleading team, or maybe, whatever. So now you force it on them. Why? Because you don't have your own identity. So you're going to in turn try to take their identity, because you have not figured out how to find yourself again. The other way is, let's say you don't have children, the other way that it can impact your family structure is you'll be the one who a lot of time is being used by the family because you won't stand up for yourself. So you're the go-to person. I've seen so many women, I don't know why everybody comes to me. I don't know why everybody's so dependent on me. Yeah, you do. It's because that's the way your life is set up. That's what you allow. I'm so tired of everybody coming to me. No, you're not. You like it. Or at least that's the only way you know how to be. Why? You haven't learned how to identify what you actually do want to do. You haven't learned to identify what you actually like. People come to me for certain things in my family, other things they know, leave me alone. Don't come to me for that. Planning is one of them. I hate planning stuff. I will do it in the beginning and then I get bored. So if you want the initial thing, I can do that. I'm very resourceful. I can find what you need. But when you get into all the details and the long meetings and phone calls, miss me. Just let me know what y'all decided. And I'm fine with it because I know who I am as a person. Now, I used to be the one, who would try to make it to all the meetings and suffer through them. And, and I'm just sitting up there like, because I don't want to be a part of it. Now, I just stand up for myself. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not sitting in a meeting for all them hours and No, I'm not gonna do it. Because I like myself and I have other things that I should be doing. There are other people who that's what they enjoy, and that's fine. But if you don't get to know yourself, if you don't find yourself, if you don't remember who you were before you were told who you were, if you don't remember who you were before you were told what you should be, then you're gonna be the one that they, run and even treat you like the example I was giving at first. They'll try to make you manifest their dreams because they lost too. The other thing is the family structure won't be as strong. In order for us to build strong family structures, we have to know who we are individually before we can know who we are collectively. So much of what happens and this is moving on to community basically, because family and community, the family is a small part of what the community is. The self is a small part of what the family is. And so, but what happens is you see it in the community right now. Nobody knows their place. Everybody, like, they either think that everybody should be on the front lines fighting this social civil war, fighting and shooting, throwing rocks or protesting or whatever. And if that's not what you're doing, then people feel like you're not part of the revolution. Well, that's not my part. I don't feel bad about it no more. I used to, but that's not the part that I'm supposed to play. This is my lane. My lane is helping women fully realize themselves, become fully self-aware. That's my lane. My lane is not going to jail. Now, if I will be honest, under certain circumstances, yeah, I have no problem with it. But this run around flying to the city where stuff happen every single time, that's just not I'm not doing it. That's not my lane. I don't judge you for not working directly in the community because you flying out here throwing rocks at people and busting out windows and walking down the street with signs in your hand. I don't judge you for that. Why? Because apparently that's your lane. But for me, I'm just like, I like the practical steps. I like to say, okay, let me teach you something that you can actually take out here and change your everyday life, which will change, and cause a ripple effect out into the community. That's my lane. So we have to know, we have to be what we call self-aware to be able to even help in the community, to be able to go further. So much of the breakdown that we see in the community and in religions, like in the religious community, is that people aren't self-aware. They try to, they lost themselves. They don't know who they are, and then they're trying to be part of a group. It's no different than if you don't know who you are and you're a part of a marriage. It's no different. Or you don't know who you are, you're part of a family and you've had children. It's going to be destructive. You don't know what your purpose is. It's like my friend says, and I know I'm finna tear this probably completely up, but if you don't know the purpose of a thing, you are destined to destroy it. That probably ain't quite right, but you get the point. If you don't know your own purpose, you're gonna destroy yourself. If you've lost yourself at some point, you're gonna destroy yourself. If you don't know your child's purpose, even if you don't know the purpose of having children, period, you're gonna destroy them. If you don't know what if you don't know yourself and you go out here trying to march and all this stuff, and that's not what your purpose is, you're going to destroy the movement because that's not what lane you was supposed to be in. You was doing too much. It's like me walking in the hospital playing a doctor. That's not my lane. That's not my purpose in life. That's not who I'm supposed to be. Now, if you get me up in front of somebody and you want me to talk about self-love and self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-preservation, stuff, anything just about having to do with women and all that, I got you. That's my lane. I got that. Why? Because I lived it. I know that's why I'm here. I'm going to change the world by doing this. I'm going to change lives I'm changing lives by doing this. Why? Because I found myself. I am self-aware. I know now what my purpose is. Okay, so here we go. So what can the man do? And this is from my experience with my husband, because when we started out, when he met me, I was wearing, like, I was basically dressed like I was Muslim. Even with the head wraps, I didn't wear I'm not gonna tear it up, but the full, like, just your face covering, but I didn't really have any skin showing. But for sure, I always had my skirts and stuff down to the floor, whatever. He met me like that, and now fast forward 8 years, I'm running around on the beach with a bra on, with just my bra on. And the thing is that he tells me now, he's just more truthful now about how it was, but it wasn't easy for him. We met, both of us were hardcore in church. This is a short version of an 8-year-long story, but we were both in church. And then we started doing house church. And then we were doing that together. Then I just fell off that. Not fell off, I left. I stopped. Then, because I was so curious, I actually started exploring atheism and my reason was because atheists aren't scared of anybody. So who better to give me a line of questioning than somebody who's not scared of anybody and who doesn't have a dog in the race? So I started studying that, and then I went back to Ifa because I was in Ifa before him, and now I do what works for me. So what can men do? Support us. Sometimes we don't need you to fix us. Most of the time we don't need you to fix us. Well, truth is, you can't fix us. Just be supportive. Give me what I need. If I want to take a class in something, support me. Sometimes financially, sometimes just by being there, just by saying, okay, that's cool. I think that's great that you're doing that. Support the ebb and flow of what we're going through. We don't need you to, like I said, we don't need you to fix us. We're not broken. We're just trying to find our way. It was like we were coming back from the beach this time, the GPS just went out. We just kind of found our way till it came back up. So, that's us. That's what a lot of us are doing as women. We had a GPS, we thought, but maybe it just went out for a minute. And so now we're just kind of exploring. And for us, with the sisters, take time to really treat it like a walk through the woods or through wherever you find beautiful. Take your time and really look at everything around you. Use all your senses to make this transition. Really take time to see. Now, when I did that to myself or for myself, did that feel good? What was that like? Did it sound good? Did it taste good? Did it feel good? Like, really explore it. And brothers, please don't judge our process. I went through my process in a way that worked for me. It wasn't supposed to work for anybody else. It wasn't everybody else's process. It was mine. My husband told me afterwards, he was like, I was just looking at you like, she going to hell. She done gone crazy. She done lost her mind. And I believe him. I'm sure he felt like that. But it was my process. It wasn't his. It's my way of learning. I learn by doing things. And I'm not scared of the mess ups. I'm not scared of looking back later and realizing, dang, that probably wasn't the best way to do that. I'm okay with that. That doesn't scare me. I'm not scared of the lessons. I am one who tends to learn hard lessons, but I don't have to do them twice. I never have to revisit a lesson because while I'm in it, I'm backstroking in it. It's hard. It could be hard. It could be easy, but it's mine, and I have found that I do very well with embracing it. I went through a rough patch when my daughter was a baby, and my uncle told me maybe like a couple of weeks ago, he said, we thought we lost you. Oh, we thought we lost you. I said, I wasn't lost. That's how I had to learn. I had to learn that part of the lesson, and I don't regret it. I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take back none of it. I wouldn't trade any of that lesson for the world. He thought I was lost, but it wasn't his process. It wasn't. Of course, you thought I was lost. You didn't know what was going on. But don't be scared when you see us kind of looking a little off. Just be supportive and help us embrace our processes. And ladies, sisters, girlfriends, don't be scared of the process. Trust yourself. A lot of your process is going to be intuitive. That's usually an innate strength with women. That's part of what I'm having to remember. Just lean into it and just listen to what your spirit is saying. Listen to how your energy sounds, feels. Use your senses. Just experience it fully. And if it works, keep it. If it doesn't, get rid of it, or sometimes stick a pin in it for later. Sometimes, brothers, y'all are gonna have to back off and give us space. Sometimes you're gonna see stuff that you don't like. When I came back from the beach, I came in what I had on the beach, pretty much, except for I had a shirt on top. But I had these little yoga shorts on. I had my bikini top underneath, and I had this tank top on. So really what my husband saw was the yoga shorts is what caused the problem. And he was like, "Is that what you wore?" Yeah. And I kept on walking. It's not his body. This is not his body. This is not his process. I acknowledge his feelings. Yes, this is what I wore, and I went on. We have to learn to, as women, we have to stop engaging in discussions that we don't have to have. I done had this body now officially for 38 years. I will do with it as I please. Because if something go wrong with it, I'm the one that's going to feel it. You know, if it's fat, I'm the one that's got to carry it. If it's skinny, I'm the one who's got to carry it. If I get that bad boy tattooed again, I'm going to be the one that have to deal with it. So, you know, sometimes you have to back off and just leave us alone. The thing is, and sometimes you have to leave us alone in our feelings. Sometimes if we crying, we don't necessarily need somebody to be hovering and are you okay? Sometimes we do. Just ask. Ask sometimes, babe, what do you need? If she's not at the point to be able to fully express her needs, that's fine, but you asked. You said, what do you need? And that is such a powerfully sexy thing to do. Babe, what do you need? Not what you need from the store. Okay, we got that. What do you need from me emotionally? How do you need me to support you? Even with the first couple, how do you need me to support you? You could maybe even ask about her process, because it might help her to work through it by being able to talk about it. How do you need me to support you? Do you need me to back off? Do you need space? Tell me about your process. You know, if you want to, you know, whatever. You don't have to be invasive. This is not your property. And the thing is, sisters, if we don't ever learn to be whole individuals, we can't fully love ourselves. Because you can only love what you know exists. Now I know I'm a wild woman. I do as I please. I'm able to fully learn that. I'm able to fully embrace that. I'm able to fully love that about me. I didn't fit when I was little. I don't fit now. The difference is I don't have a desire to fit. I don't have a desire to be approved of by people either. I don't have a need for approval anymore. My mama is probably the last one that I still kind of have a tinge of a need, for approval. I want her to be happy with me, But at the end of the day, what age am I going to decide, when am I going to decide that I'm good enough for me, and everybody else just have to fall in line? If you don't like it, you ain't got to deal with it. You don't have to be around me. You know, it's okay. And it doesn't have to be an anger thing. Just, you know. Remember that you can't relate, but you can provide ideas, resources, and freedom. Most of the time I found with this process, I might even see a couple or meet a woman whose husband is really trying his best to relate. And most of the time what you see is he's making a mess of it. It's not really for you to relate. Again, this is her process. This is my process. I don't need you to try to compare. Well, you know, because when it was, well, it's not you. Well, when I went through it, but you're not going through it. Because like I said, this is something that women tend to do. From my experience, I have not seen as many men go through this. And like I say, men are not my calling, and I'm okay with that. But I've seen a lot of women in a relationship where he's trying his best to relate and it's just making a mess. Just provide ideas, but not in a pushy way. Provide resources. It doesn't necessarily have to be financial resources, but just, I mean, for me, I found a lot of stuff for me when I got to the exploratory part on Groupon. I just started trying stuff. If I didn't like it, I didn't do it again. If I liked it, I did. But my husband would just provide opportunities. Hey, babe, you want to go do this? You want to go try that? I mean, he just provides opportunities. So ideas, resources, and freedom. Sometimes in our society, the freedom is the hardest one. And a lot of men are willing to do it in theory, but they don't really know what the application looks like, or they don't like what it looks like once it starts to manifest. For my husband, my clothing change was a big issue for him. Because when he met me, like I said, I was fully covered. The whole year between our engagement and our marriage, I actually wore head wraps every single day anytime I went out of the house. And I don't really know what the reason was, but I know I felt pulled to do it. But that's who he married. And I was just real big on modesty. I was real big on loyalty, humility, all of those things. I have videos on all of those topics. So when he would see tight pants, or he would see, I never really did short skirts. I still don't really do those. But he would see tight pants. He would see, last year, bless his heart, I think it was the first year when I wore shorts. Like, because I was wearing capris. That was as short as I got in summertime. And he would say little stuff at first, but I had to remind him whose body it was. And now he'll have little glitches every now and again, because, you know, his thing is, what he talks about is, you know, because somebody might do or say something inappropriate and blah, blah, blah. Well, they're going to say that. They were saying that when I had stuff down to my ankles. But what it really is he still struggles with not understanding that my body is my own. My life is my own. My destiny is my own. And I have to navigate the exploration of it. So if right now that means that I'm wearing short shorts at 38 years old, then that's what I'm going to do. And see, the thing that people don't realize or have difficulty with, or just flat out refuse to embrace, is that everybody's not made to travel your path with you the entire time. I love my husband, but he knows that he is fully welcome to step off the path anytime he wants. Just like I am. For me, I won't do anything that will take him off his path. I know that he is here. He has a lot of purposes, of course, as we all do. But one of his main purposes is to change the lives and save the lives of the youth in our communities. and he is amazing at it. I mean, absolutely amazing. And like I was telling my neighbor one time, I said, I won't do anything that takes him off his path. And if my path takes me away from him, you know, because I'm not going to take him off his path. So if for some reason our paths are going like this, and then something that I must do is going to pull him off his path, or is going to cause us to separate, then that's just what we have to do. We have destinies for the world. I hope that our paths stay lined up, but he has a destiny that he has to fulfill for this lifetime. There are people's lives that depend on him fulfilling his destiny, and I will not be responsible for taking him off path. He has the freedom to live that out. He has almost an obligation to live it out, and I won't take him off of that. And at the same time, I won't let him take me off mine. I won't allow anybody else to ever take my freedom. Anybody, my husband, children, any kind of ministers or priests or anybody. Nobody can have my freedom. Why? Because I have finally gotten to the point that I know who I am and what I'm here for. I'm finally self-aware. I'm no longer losing myself. I'm no longer sacrificing myself for anybody else. I just won't do it. So, anywho, Vaisha, I hope you made it through this video, and I hope it helped. If you have any more questions for me, or if I need to do another video, or you just got another video request, if it's, you know, in my realm of knowledge, I'll be more than happy to do it. But I hope I covered everything for you. I covered everything that's in my notes. So anyway, this again is Fashayo, the Earth Mother of earthmotherguidance.com. Thank y'all so much for watching. Odabo.